Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Hannah Paramore Breen.
Good morning. I'm so happy to be here. And can we just give it up one more time for the Belmont University Women's Choir? What a great way. What a great way to start a morning, right? I love this day so much, and thank you for being here. This is the only time of year that I get to have breakfast with 1,000 of my closest friends. Couldn't happen without you. But you're here because you have a common goal. Our goal is to support an organization that has worked tirelessly to help women and children in Nashville and Middle Tennessee for 120 years. What a legacy the YW has. The YWCA is dedicated to eliminating racism, empowering women, and promoting peace, justice, freedom, and dignity for all. The work that we do is vital to this community, and this breakfast is foundational to the work of this organization. Our goal today is to extend the reach, the understanding, and the support for the YWCA by giving you a glimpse inside. We want you to see the impact that we are having on people's lives. By the time you leave, you'll be moved to give, and that's exactly what we want. We have many people and organizations to thank for making the spring breakfast happen. Nissan has joined us as our Freedom sponsor this year, and we're so grateful for your ongoing support. HCA, TriStar, and LP Building Products are our Justice sponsors also, and would you please give them a hand? We can't do this without sponsors. If you could bring the lights up just a tad, because I want people to see our next group of people that I'm going to thank, because every organization's success depends on a core group of people who dedicate time, money, and expertise to help them succeed. For us, that's our board of directors and the Fulcrum Society. If you're a member of either, would you please stand and be acknowledged? And now you can bring those lights back down. I'd like to ask our own YWCA board chair and my friend Janet Miller to join me on stage and recognize a few more individuals. Y'all can clap for Janet too. You all know her.
Thank you, Wonder Woman and Force of Nature, Hannah Paramore Breen. So it is incredible to see this room full of women and to see how you have grown this event over the years. Did you know there are 1,000 of us in this room today at 7:30 in the morning? Let's just have a little round of applause for that. I am so proud to be a part of this incredible organization and honored to recognize the women and men who are helping make this breakfast a success. This event is a success, first off, because of our incredible table captains. Would you please stand if you were a table captain today? You are the one who filled up this room, so thank you. Yay! You got everybody here this morning, so thank you for that. We need the support of every leader in this city in order to reduce domestic violence and to keep our people safe. Domestic violence is an extremely complex issue. One thing is certain, without the support of our elected officials and our public servants, we would not be able to be successful in stamping out domestic violence in Nashville. If you're an elected official, please stand so we can recognize you. I know I saw a bunch of great council folks here today. Next up is the police department, the Metro Nashville Police Department, Chief Steve Anderson, and your domestic violence unit. Thank you for what you do to keep our community safe. How about a round of applause for our Metro Police Department? It's great to see my fellow board member. I saw him across the room a second ago, our District Attorney, General Glenn Funk, along with many members of his team. Thank you for the work you do to protect survivors and help them find justice. Where is Mr. Funk and his staff? How about a round of applause for the DA's office? And finally, the YWCA staff and volunteers who work, I'm not kidding you, tirelessly to run the organization and help our clients every day. Last year, nearly 500 individuals and 11 groups volunteered with the YWCA and donated more than 9,500 hours of service. So anyone who volunteers or works for the YW, please stand and be recognized. That's most of the room, I think. Now I am pleased to introduce another Wonder Woman in our midst, our CEO, Sharon Roberson. She works, I am not kidding you, 24 hours, 7 days a week for this organization, and we are so blessed to have her. And I always have to say it, she's the best dressed woman in Nashville. So there you go, Sharon Roberson.
Good morning. Good morning. I am so proud to be here as the president and CEO of the YWCA. Before I get started with my remarks, I wanted to really give a, special welcome to one of our board members. And I don't know whether or not I should be excited that he is here or whether I should be angry at him for being here. Rashad Vercruten, who has been nothing but a fantastic ambassador for our program, is here today. For those of you that do not know him, he is the head of the Islamic Center. Rashad, about 3 weeks ago, had open heart surgery. While he was in the hospital and then after his surgery, he made sure that he had his 6 tables full for spring breakfast. I would like for all of you to give a round of applause for Rashad. Now, Rashad, you can go home and rest. I want to talk to you about a few numbers. 53, 51, 55, 56, 57, 55. Those numbers represent the daily census from the past week at the Weaver Domestic Violence Center. What is amazing about these numbers is that the center is designed to have 51 beds. We are very busy and we are very full. One of the reasons that has been a contributing factor, which is a positive because we're keeping more people safe, is that about 18 months ago, we entered into a partnership with the Metro Office of Family Safety and the Metro Police Department. And this is called the LAP, or Lethality Assessment Program. What this program does is, one, it takes those lethal and critical cases of domestic violence and helps those victims be in touch with the resources of the YW. I cannot think of a better partnership with any police force and their community than this program. Today, the majority of families that enter into the Weaver Center come through as those critical, very lethal LAP cases. So far, our counselors, as a result of the phone calls that we received as a result of this program, have answered more than 5,000. It's really closer to 6,000 calls. Unfortunately, we do not presently have the resources to really have housing safety for all of these victims. More than 400 women and children have come into the Domestic Violence Center so far this year. We are working so hard to keep these families safe. When you enter the shelter, I want you to put yourself in the shoes of a domestic violence survivor family. You come into that shelter with very little, with basically what you have on your back. We offer you counseling. We offer you supportive services. Women and children in the shelter that qualify or can receive transitional housing are not only welcome to a house, but they are welcome to a home. I cannot say enough about Julie Davis and Cheryl Hayes. I would like for them to stand. If you ever wonder if there are really angels in our society, the Renew program volunteering angels are that. They truly make a house into a home for our families. They help them not only survive, but to thrive. Unfortunately, as I have stated, we have more need in our community than resources. As a result, we have entered into an agreement and we will be expanding our present Weaver Domestic Violence Center, adding additional beds. And this is not without much hard work by our board, our staff, our governmental partners. But we need more. We will be going into the future having to double the number of domestic violence bed spaces in our community. We know that we cannot solve this problem simply by bricks and mortar. In addition to supporting these victims of domestic violence, we must work hard in this community to build up our young people, to build that next level of leadership. Our Girls Inc. program builds girls that are strong, smart, and bold. Our Men Together program helps address the culture that supports violence against women. These programs have taken a firm root in our community, and I ask each of you to support them. I want to talk to you a little bit about 3 more numbers, and I always think when I have the stage, I open up my heart and give you a little bit about myself. These are the years 1962, 1965, and 1968. These are the years that my father served as a combat soldier in Vietnam. My mother at the same time wasn't a combat soldier, but she had her combat mission on this side of the world. Each night, my sister and I, as our ritual, would actually, how many of you did those kind of prayers when you were younger? You actually got on your knees by your bed and put your hands like this. This was the kind of praying that we did every night. And in those prayers, I asked God to bring, I had a daddy. Some of y'all have fathers. I had a daddy. I asked God, and I should have known I was going to be a lawyer because I negotiated with God. I said, if you bring my daddy home to me, I would do my best. I would work hard. I would live a life of integrity and help others. God kept that promise. And I have worked very hard to fulfill my obligations. The full mission of the YWCA is eliminating racism, empowering women, peace, and promoting peace, justice, freedom for all. And from the prayers of a little girl to the heart and mind of a fully grown woman, I am here today because I truly believe and will fight for peace, justice, freedom, and dignity for all. Thank you.
You can't win a Stanley Cup championship without working as a team. You have to trust each other, you have to set bold goals, and you can't be afraid to fail. The YWCA works tirelessly to make Nashville a safe city in America for our women and girls. Nashville Predators and I stand with them in that effort. A Men Together is a program that helps boys become good men, and it helps men become better men. We're passionate about spreading a men's message to every boy in the city. Because together, we can stop the cycle of violence against women. Together, we can win for Nashville.
How about those Preds? We couldn't ask for a more committed supporter for our Amend Together program than Sean Henry. And now I'm thrilled to have our first ever Amend student speaker with us today. Join me, please, in welcoming Josiah Peak.
Good morning. I would like to start by giving a personal thanks to the Amend Program Manager, Mr. Lamont Doty, the YWCA staff and board members, my extremely intelligent and beautiful mother, Denise King, my wise and dependable father, Mark Anthony Peak, my wonderful family and friends who have supported my success, and everything that has led to this moment for me to speak in front of such a spectacular crowd. It is truly an honor to speak for the Amend program. For those who don't know me, as introduced before, my name is Josiah Peak. I am 16 years old. I am a sophomore at the Hillsborough High School. I have a 3.5 GPA. My highest score Thank you. My highest score currently on the ACT is a 21. I am a defensive end on the varsity football team. I am a defensive midfielder on the varsity lacrosse team for the Metro Nashville Outlaws. I am a dedicated member of the Nashville YWCA's Youth Empowerment Committee. Amend Together has 3 core values: challenge, cultivate, and change. Amend challenges the broken system of sexism and unhealthy norms that support and promote violent behavior towards women by cultivating the mindsets of men and boys by teaching healthy communication, healthy masculinity, consent, gender equality, and overall respect for women. This education will bring about the desired change for reshaping our society to create a happier and healthier communities. One of the many things I have learned in the Amend workshops, the most compelling thing that touched my spirit the most was the ongoing objectification of women and violence against them in our culture. During our Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month in February, Mr. Doty displayed a vision board with photos of images of teenage women that were violently abused. Those images were seared into my consciousness. As I have a wonderful mother, beautiful sisters, and a gorgeous girlfriend who I all love dearly, I cannot imagine any system, institution, or individual verbally, physically, or mentally destroying their being and self-worth just because society has given men the green light to treat and display women in a negative way. But I would be remiss if I didn't mention that I had to change the way I thought about women due to the saturation of negative on-screen imagery and lyrics in music. As men, we co-sign the objectification of women and girls by our silence. I, for one, will no longer sit idly by with a closed mouth as women are being exploited and humiliated by corporate media giants, guys in the locker room, or on the street. We in the Amend program understand that in order for our message to be effective, the messengers must speak from the platform of sincerity and truth. When we talk about change, we also need to step up and speak truth to power with conviction and intentionality. Because words are beautiful, but action is supreme. And if we do not challenge the power structure that lays the groundwork for how women are portrayed, we have done a disservice to our humanity. Sadly, there is an unacceptable amount of men in our community who fall short in regards to knowing how to respect themselves, women, and how to initiate and maintain unity in their communities. Throughout this program, young men are gaining the knowledge needed to be drum majors for change in their homes and communities. They are learning and helping to empower women and becoming a catalyst for the necessary cultural change needed in our communities. It is my hope in my lifetime I will see men valuing women in a more than non-superficial way. Throughout my life, I have witnessed many forms of violence, from the up close and personal to the popular music, the TV shows, the movies and video games. I have witnessed discrimination and implicit bias, from the way I see women treated by men simply because they are women, to the people being judged and falsely characterized because of who they are or how they look, to the stereotypes given to me because I am a tall black male with significant facial hair at a young age. In the Amend program, we address these and many other false perceptions. For example, we discuss the alarming amount of shootings in and around schools. For a long time, a popular assumption is that the solution to ending school shootings would be to end bullying in schools. Yet that yields another question: how is this possible? Until I joined the Amend program, I did not have an answer. I thought that stopping bullying was the #1 way to end school shootings. But now, after having group conversations in the program, my paradigm has shifted, and I have come to realize that there are so many other underlying factors that are more significant than bullying that should have priority in the plight to end this crisis. Those issues include, but are not limited to, an unhealthy family dynamic, poor modeling, violent environment, and undiagnosed mental health challenges. The aforementioned is just one of the many insights I have gained in participating in this great program. I would like to take this time to thank the Nashville Predators and the Amend Together for selecting me to be a part of the PK Subban's Blue Line Buddies Foundation. I was able to dine in the fabulous Patron Room, watch the Preds win, and meet PK and other members of the team. As our partners, the Nashville Predators display teamwork on the ice. It will take teamwork and partnerships on many different levels to combat the culture of violence and negativity against women. While I have been in the Amend program, it has evolved at Hillsborough from a group of people who come together and share laughs to a group of young men seeking to better themselves in how we uplift women. From there, we can unite with other men and teach them how to break the mold of the vulgar and unacceptable tendency to break down our women rather than uplifting them. Together, we can end violence against girls and women by engaging and educating aspiring men and boys to cherish, honor, and respect each and every female that they have the privilege of learning from, caring for, laughing with, or reweaving the fabric of the future to blanket a kinder and more loving existence for generations to come. Again, my name is Josiah Peak. I am a proud member of the Amend program, and I would like to thank you for your time and attention. Go Predators.
Wow. What a great young man. Thank you, Josiah. You're so impressive to me. And now, representing our Girls Inc. program is an amazing young woman who is unafraid. She's breaking all kinds of barriers. Please welcome Hunters Lane High School senior, Jada Klein.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jada Klein. I am a member of this beautiful organization and sisterhood called Girls Inc. When I first joined Girls Inc., I saw that there was a girl who was very introverted, a girl who felt powerless in her community. She wasn't open-minded, and she didn't like to be vulnerable, and she was going through a lot. That girl had been a student at Cambridge High School in Antioch. She had spent her freshman and sophomore years there, making friends and getting along as best as she could. But at home, things weren't going so great. That girl and her family had to move away from her school, and her mom couldn't find a place in Antioch to live. This was all happening at the end of her sophomore year. That girl and her family were homeless for a while, but they finally found a place in Madison. The move seemed like it was 100 miles away from Antioch, but this was their new home. She stayed in the house all the time with her sister and brother. You see, it wasn't the best neighborhood. The TV news crews were always pulling up. They were following the police cars that were there on a daily basis. Soon the neighborhood became a little better, and the kids began to go outside and play ball and different other games. But before all of that, school was getting ready to start. And starting a brand new high school your junior year is really tough. You have to learn not only to make new friends, but make the right friends. This teenage girl had left all her friends at Cambridge High School. And at this new school, this girl was always by herself. And this was something she had to get used to, because being by herself wasn't unheard of to her. To tell you the truth, she was pretty sad because she didn't have her old friends there, and she didn't know how to make new friends. She felt isolated, especially during lunch. At Hunters Lane High School, there's this thing called One Lunch. All of the students have lunch at the same time. The kids grab their lunches and go off together and hang out in their groups. But for this girl, well, she didn't have a group of friends. She didn't even have a favorite friend. She was able to call some of her old friends back at Cambridge during one lunch, but it wasn't the same as actually hanging out with them. One place she did go to during one lunch was her favorite teacher's classroom, Dr. Melissa Fultz, also known as Grandma Fultz. She's absolutely the best. Soon after the start of the school year, this girl was in Dr. Fultz's classroom for one lunch, and she saw a stranger there. The strange woman was getting ready for her club she was hosting every Monday. Little did the girl know that stranger will become a trusted friend and mentor. This stranger was Miss Vanessa, and she started talking about Girls Inc. and gave that girl so much information in under 5 minutes. She told the girl that it was a safe place where girls can come together to be themselves. Girls would learn from each other and grow strong together. Dr. Fultz encouraged the girl to do it, and she thought to herself, it's not anything that's negative. It was something positive, so she gave it a shot. Every Monday, that girl came to Girls Inc. during one lunch to learn something new, to find that power deep within her, and to build relationships. The girl built those relationships not only in the small Girls Inc. community, but outside in the 1,700 student Hunters Lane community. After the girl joined Girls Inc., she was motivated to do other things in school. She joined the SGA, that's the Student Government Association, and she decided to run for junior class president. Nobody knew her since she had recently moved to Hunters Lane. That girl had no expectations, but I think people were inspired by what she had to say. She had been in Girls Inc. for a month by this time, and she was becoming very bold. She had to give a speech for the election, and it was great. She explained how the adults were always listening to the students, but she would be the person to listen and talk for the students. She promised to be the best class president she could be, and she won. Before Girls Inc., this girl wouldn't talk at all, but Girls Inc. helped her find her voice. Throughout her junior year, the girl urged other girls to join Girls Inc. It was a place where she felt safe and loved. And if she felt this way, why couldn't other girls feel the same? Her whole junior year in high school, she recruited more and more girls with Miss Vanessa. She had so much fun and learned so much. That girl came back to Hunters Lane her senior year. There were so many girls who joined Girls Inc. She learned that she did have power in her community. That girl ran for senior class president, and she won, and also became vice president of the Student Government Association for their entire student body. She is also an ambassador for her school. Girls Inc. has inspired her to use her voice and to be bold and smart. But there was something else that she needed, the strength to handle her emotions. Midway through the year, she met Hunters Lane counselor and head wrestling coach, Mr. Levickis. He told the girl about the wrestling team, and he encouraged her to try out. She thought about it for 3 days, and she finally told Coach that she'd do it. One of her guy friends joked around with her and said that the other girls on the other team were going to flip her, meaning that she wasn't strong enough to do it. But that made her a little bit more determined to do it. She would have never did any of these things without Girls Inc. in her Girls Inc. family. She went to the wrestling meeting, and there was another girl who showed up to be a manager. Another girl was just there just to watch. After the encouragement from the girl, the other two joined the team. Joining the wrestling team was important to this girl. It taught her about competition. She didn't like losing. That's because she thought that it meant you were a failure. She had to learn that if she lost, but I did her best, she actually won. This girl had to learn this new and strange sport, and they also had to learn how to handle their emotions. This was the main reason why the girl had joined the team. Her whole life, she would let all of her emotions build up inside of her. Until that time, the only outlet for this teenage girl had been journaling and church. But wrestling was something that taught her how to be both mentally and physically strong. Before Girls Inc., if she'd have lost a game or a contest, she'd just walk away. But now, she learned that shaking hands and giving your opponent a hug shows that you have character. She became a team captain and was the first female in her school history to do it. All of the girls on the team proved that they were strong and resilient and able to take on anything that was set before them. Everything that happened to this girl happened because of Girls Inc. That girl let the love and the secure environment take a hold of her. She was no longer the girl in the beginning who thought she was average. She was renewed. That girl knew she was beautiful. She knew she was strong. She knew she was smart. And she knew she was bold. And you want to know something? That girl is me. That girl is me. Yes, that girl is Jada Klein. Girls Inc. has changed my mind and my life for the better. I've made new friends and mentors. I've learned how to deal with my emotions. I've learned how to financially take care of myself. Without Girls Inc., I think it would have been way harder for me to become the beautiful young lady that I am today. So yes, I truly believe that I'm strong, smart, and bold. I'll be graduating next month from Hunters Lane with a good GPA, and I plan to attend Austin Peay State University or Belmont University, where I'll study computer science and mathematics. Yes, it's a male-dominated field, but I'm ready to take it on, and I'm gonna do it. Thank you. I wouldn't be standing here before you if Girls Inc. hadn't been in my life. I have a strong faith in God and my church, and I love my family. My wonderful Aunt Tanisha and my uncle are here, and I love my family. But Girls Inc. was the thing that had been missing. After Girls Inc., all the pieces were put back into place. All of the positive things started to happen. Girls Inc. has affected me in the most positive way. Sometimes talking about it makes me a little emotional because I've seen the growth in myself. I encourage leaders in this room today to support Girls Inc. I'm forever grateful, and I'm so excited to start my new life in college this fall. And if I attend Austin Peay, there's even a wrestling club for me to continue the sport. I hope you all continue to find your love in Girls Inc. and grow in it. I love each and every one of you. And thank you for this opportunity for letting me share my girls' experience with you.
We were childhood sweethearts. Our families went to church together, and We were good kids, so everyone thought we'd be perfect together, and I guess I believed them. It starts slowly. Jealousy at first, insults, and then grabbing my arm when he's angry, but then it builds to pushing me into the wall and spitting on me, bruises on my arms and back, places people can't see. The second time he pulled a gun on me is when I knew I had to leave. And if I didn't take this chance now, I didn't think I ever would. I really didn't know how, though. I didn't have anyone to talk to. It's not something they teach you in school or church.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my friend, Lindsay Lance.
On August 21st, 2015, 3 Americans stopped a gunman on a train headed to Paris from killing scores of people. They were awarded France's Legion of Honor Medal, and when asked by the French president where they found the courage to do it, Anthony Sadler replied, "In a time of crisis, you just have to do something." They valued their fellow human beings more than their own safety. It is rare to find a person willing to lay down his life for his fellow man, and when you do, it commands respect. On July 4th, 1776, our forefathers made good that same resolution. They succeeded, and today we reap the fruits of their success. The freedom gained is ours. They were peacemen, but they preferred revolution over peaceful submission to bondage. They were quiet men, but they did not shrink from agitating against oppression. They believed in order, but not in the order of tyranny. They instilled in all future generations of Americans pride and patriotism, which prompt us to stand by those principles at whatever cost. On April 4th, 1968, Martin Luther King Jr. was true to those principles at the ultimate cost, as he sacrificially led a nation to see the hypocrisy in the words "justice for all." For it was not light our nation needed, but fire. It was not the gentle shower, but thunder. We needed the storm, the whirlwind, the earthquake to shake our moral high ground. The feeling of the nation was quickened, and the conscience of the nation was roused to the anthem that the immutable words written by those forefathers were "We the people." Not we the privileged, not we the educated, not we the unoppressed, but we the people who formed the country. Not to give the blessing of liberty, but to protect it. And not for half the people, but for all people. On March 14, 2013, I walked away from my oppressive and abusive husband, a man who threatened my life and every inalienable right to it. I walked out of his house of tyranny for the last time, and in my own time of crisis, had no one that would do something. The fact is, the distance between this platform and that house from which I escaped is considerable, and the difficulties getting from the latter to the former are by no means slight. That I am here today is, to me, a matter of astonishment. It was oppression that our forefathers risked their lives to escape, and it was oppression that put my own life in danger. It takes as much courage for a woman to flee her abusive husband as it does for a man to answer the call to a battle that forever stained the character of a nation breaking out of its own oppression. The great American spirit that reverently dictates what you ought to be, what you can be, what you will be, is the rallying point to build courage when courage seems to fail, to regain faith when there seems to be little cause for faith, and to create hope when hope becomes forlorn. It sparks within us the intrinsic compulsion that when, as Anthony Sadler confesses, In a time of crisis, you just have to do something. In my own time of crisis, my own spirit, drained of courage and hope, searched for someone to rely on. While taking the first step to leave was a decision that only I could make, it's not so easy as, why can't you just leave? My ex-husband and I married very young and moved to Nashville from Cincinnati alone in search of jobs. We had no one but each other, a few $100s, and one car. As I started to find my own friends, excel at my job, develop a driven and strong personality, his insecurities turned to jealousy, where there was no cause for it. Jealousy turned to anger and control, where there was no governor for it. And his anger turned violent, where there was no excuse for it. The less control he felt he had over me, the more frantic he sought to regain it. One evening, by watching the tracking on my phone, as he did often, he saw I wasn't leaving work early enough for him. He called me over and over again and grew increasingly angrier, insulting me, threatening me, and I didn't know which was worse, to go home knowing he wouldn't be able to control himself, or to never go back at all. But I had to go back. I had nothing. He controlled everything, every password, all the finances, all my independence. That evening was the first time he pulled a gun on me. And I had done nothing wrong and nothing to provoke him to anger, although often he would tell me his outbursts were my fault. But I knew I did nothing. And because I did nothing to start his violence, I knew I could do nothing to end it. But it was the second time he put a gun to my head that I knew I had to leave. I was able to convince him not to pull the trigger twice, but I didn't think I'd survive the next time. In fact, according to the American Journal of Public Health, the presence of a gun in a domestic violence situation increases the chance a woman will be murdered by 500%. I stopped believing he loved me. Though I felt a duty to honor the vow to death do us part, I realized I didn't want death. I wanted life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I faced his dangerous pride and found the courage to put away my fear that people might think ill of me. I had countless bruises from his fury, a broken ankle from his wrath, a knife in my shoulder blade from his jealousy, and twice my life threatened with my own gun that my father gave me for protection. What else could I do but to leave and protect myself from the man who promised to protect me? People often wonder how a person could marry such an oppressive man. But a person wouldn't, because it doesn't happen quickly. Abuse and control slip slowly over you, one little tightening at a time. It's an immature outburst of anger and pout of jealousy, but it discolors and changes your sense of what's normal, skewing what's accepted as tolerable. It's one bruise that he swears won't happen again. It's another bruise that he said you deserved this time. It's a broken ankle he said was your fault. It's locks on your phone, control over all the finances, tracking location, and passwords on your email account because he said your friends and family are just trying to break us up. It's isolation and solitude from everyone because he says he's trying to protect you. It's a gun to your head to make you afraid of his power. It's a gun to his own head to guilt you out of leaving, or he'd kill himself and it'd be your fault. No, a person wouldn't put themselves in such a position. But what do you do when you find yourself there? Each new bruise and new control, new threat, new power compresses you in a hole, scared and seemingly smaller, as if you've been crushed into a very little space. He isolates you away from everyone. You have no friends anymore to help you. Your family can't contact you. For many, for me, the only place to go was the YWCA. I called the crisis hotline half a dozen times before I found the courage to leave. Without it, I would not be alive today. I had no one else to call. The YWCA guided me through an escape plan and suggested staying somewhere safe with someone I could trust. But who? I thought. There was no one. My friends weren't safe. I wasn't allowed to call my family. My coworkers didn't want to get involved. My own boss said it was none of his business. In my time of crisis, I thought I had no one to do something. But right before giving up, I found divinely, through a connection at the YWCA, a quiet and kind man who just so happened to be renting out a spare room of his house. Without a safe place to go, I would have had to go back to my violent husband, who told me I wasn't good for anything and couldn't do anything without him. If I hadn't had a safe place to live, then I wonder if he just might have been right. At a time of crisis, that man, a hero to me and a revolutionist, Aaron Dunges, who sits at my table today, stepped up and did something. But unfortunately, the Aaron Dunges of the world are few. Not every woman or child has a place to go. They turn to the YWCA, which is free always to victims, for safe housing, but our shelter is constantly full and resources are continually strained. The YWCA has to turn people away because they don't have enough beds for them. And where do you think a woman has to go then? After getting out and living in a safe place, I attended the YWCA abuse counseling for nearly 6 months, learning to trust myself again, learning not to blame myself for his actions, and learning how to be strong. The remnants and effects of abuse didn't stop when I left my house for the last time. I will likely always struggle with trusting men in real or perceived authority. I may always be guarded against people who want to become close to me. I often still shut down when a man around me is angry for fear I'm the nearest thing to hit. But the YWCA wasn't just my way out. It was more than a phone call, more than a building, more than a counselor. They have drained deep the chalice of courage and commit to use every resource to keep women and children safe first, strong second, and self-sufficient to become better leaders than the tyranny we were once subjected to. Their care is continual, their support unending, their goal is high, but their crisis is growing. Domestic violence happens to 1 in 4 women. So often domestic violence is portrayed as a problem for the poor, for the third world, for the oppressed, for religious extremists. But the reality is that domestic violence is blindly insensitive to race, color, class, or country. 1 in 4 women experience domestic violence. Not 1 in 4 poor women, not 1 in 4 black women, not 1 in 4 women in underdeveloped countries, and not 1 in 4 women of religious or extremist conditions. Just 1 in 4 women. I grew up in Cincinnati. I'm the second of 5 children to 2 white parents who are still married after 5 children and 37 years of marriage. My mother was a homemaker. My father was the CFO of an energy company. We grew up in church. I sang in the choir and was first chair violin in the orchestra. My father didn't hit me, and he never missed a recital. I graduated from college and married my high school sweetheart. I have a mother and 2 sisters, making me 1 of 4 women. Despite having all these privileges in life, in my time of crisis, still, I had nowhere to go. When I needed the help of my fellow man, no one was there. No one wanted to help, even though they knew what was happening. People just didn't want to get involved. I felt abandoned, deserted, alone. Where do you go when everyone can see, but no one will do something? Is this the land our forefathers loved and the freedom they toiled to win? It would have been easy for me to say I wish this never happened to me. But it's not up to us to decide such fates. We can only decide what we do with what we are given. We have to do with the past what makes it useful to the present and to the future. So now is the time, the important, ever-living time. And now I realize that these times of trials and tyranny have drawn my eye to an area of oppression that our society has convinced itself it does not see and cannot help. And now I will not be one who does nothing. Now, in a time of crisis, I choose to just do something. I'm a strong, successful, confident woman that the YWCA helped rebuild through counseling, classes, and connections. In a time of crisis, it is the duty of humanity and the spirit of America to step up and do something. Anthony Sadler did. Aaron Dunges did. The YWCA did. On April 24th, 2018, I wonder where you'll find yourself today. The YWCA needs more resources, more beds, more safe houses, more counselors. You can volunteer. You can donate today. You can listen. You can help. You can set the YWCA up with sponsors and donors who will offer up safe places and strong mentors for women. Having a place to go, food to eat, and a hand to hold while building confidence and self-sufficiency is vital to a woman who has just left her abuser. For then she is most vulnerable to giving into her fears, and she is in the greatest danger of her life. Will you step up and do something? Or will you cower and say it's none of my business? Freedom is not a gift that tarries long in the hands of cowards. Every trial brings forth a chance, and every chance brings forth a champion. I stand before you today with a sense of deep humility and great pride. I've come to this podium expressing my pain so that the next woman does not have to feel as alone as I did. I ask in return that you do something, and that each of us will, according to the measure of our own ability, endeavor as to live to deserve to be called a good American citizen. I'm not asking you to lay down your life today, and I'm not asking you to take a bullet for strangers on a train. But in a time of crisis, you just have to do something. Today, your something is to give. 2 days ago, on Sunday, April 22nd, 2018, Travis Reinking walked into a Waffle House and killed 4 people. He was armed and ready to kill more. Had it not been for James Shaw Jr. In a press conference yesterday, Mr. Shaw said, "I'm not a hero. I'm just a normal person. I think anyone would have done the same thing if put in that type of cage." With all due respect, Mr. Shaw, I disagree. Your courage has taught us that to be a normal person, you can just do something. Thank you.
Table captains, will you help your guests to give? We want to thank you for being here today and for giving and for listening and for caring. We ask that you take this message to your homes and to your workplace and that you come back next year. Let's give one more round of applause for the Belmont University Women's Choir and for our speakers. Can we get our speakers all on stage? Jada, Josiah, can you come on stage? Lindsay, come back up here. Takes a lot of courage to do what they did today, doesn't it? Come on over, Sharon.
And let's give a hand to Hannah Paramore, true Breen, I forgot the last name, you know.
Don't forget the Breen.
Breen, for being such an ambassador for this program and for this event. Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you, Sharon. Thank you. See you next year.